The ceiling drop trap is one of the best traps in Fortnite Save the World. It is really, really good damage because the tires actually bounce. In fact, the height that you place it at matters quite a bit. I set up a little world here. Thank you, Sage, for the help in recording this, where you can see that at 1 tile high, it bounces once or twice. It's not really a big deal. At 2 tiles high, it'll bounce once, twice, and then you get a small third bounce. But at 3 tiles high, that is the perfect sweet spot. If you're double jumping as a ninja or you're willing to build some scaffolding, 3 tiles high is optimal because it'll bounce once, twice, and you get a nice third bounce after that to maximize the amount of damage. That is really important because when it bounces 3 times like that, the ceiling drop trap is hitting that enemy 3 different times, which is really, really nice. It does not trigger at the 4 tile high mark, but if you want to get creative, you can use floor launchers to go above and beyond. I don't necessarily recommend that. The tires will fan out so far that it's not really effective anymore, but if you want to be silly, you could pair floor launchers with the tire trap to get some extra silliness going. In my opinion, 2 or 3 tiles up is perfect because you get the most amount of bounces and you maximize your damage, but it's also 2 tiles up. So it's safe and far away from smashers, propanes, and exploding death bombs that can actually destroy your builds and ruin your trap tunnel. Not only is it extremely effective for damage, but it's really good at slowing enemies down because they're actually directional when you place them. The way that it works is you want to face in a direction where you don't want the enemies to go. So as you're placing the trap, face where you don't want them to go, and they will roll towards your back. That means you can face your objective and it'll actually bounce them away from your defense. Or if you're placing them uphill, you can face up the hill when you're placing your trap and it'll roll them back down the hill. It is extremely effective. So effective, in fact, that in some defenses, it'll roll them back up the hill. It's that good. It's actually surprising. So you should always be mindful to place the trap correctly as it'll only move them in that one direction. As a side note, it's actually well paired with floor freeze traps as it has the exact same directionality. So you face where you don't want the enemies to go and it'll stagger them towards your back. Once they thaw out, that's when they'll move, and it's actually really, really effective. If you put that and a tire trap together, most enemies are never getting through. At that point, you're pretty much just cleaning up mist monsters and smashers. As for the perks, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's a crit build. Who would have expected that? I know. Let me talk about it. So reload, damage, crit rating, crit damage is the best combination of perks. So this is going to give you the most damage per second on average. Normally, you guys know that crits are a little gambly. You don't necessarily want to use them if it's something single shot like a wall dynamo or something like that, even though you still kind of want to use crits in those situations as well. Tire traps are, if you're placing them correctly, hitting the enemy 2 or 3 times. So you will crit. It's going to happen. And you want to have a nice balance of activating often and critting effectively when you're there. So you could run crit rating double crit damage if you wanted to absolutely maximize the damage output of the trap, but it'd fire so much less often that you actually lose damage per second or DPS. So that's why I've done the math on these things for the ceiling electric field, wall darts, wall dynamos. It's always the same. Reload, crit rating, crit damage, and a damage perk is optimal. Double crit rating is tempting. You can crit more often. You will crit more often if you do that, but mathematically, it is more favorable to just use a damage perk. It'll be more consistent damage output, and you should prefer that. You could give up this damage perk for an extra durability if you are having a hard time getting your trap through the entire mission, but we can talk more about trap durability at the end of the perks. The other thing is physical. That's your only option, and that is a key thing to note. If you are in an elemental mission, you might want to consider something like a ceiling electric field because it could be energy or nature. That's pretty much the only ceiling trap that's really elemental. The ceiling zapper is there, but I'm not sure if that's an exact replacement for the ceiling drop trap, as it really serves a different purpose for being really effective for single target damage. Other than that, if you really, really don't like crits, you could do double reload, double damage. I do not recommend this. It is mathematically inferior. As I said, you will be critting enough to smoothen it out and make it worth your while, but you could do it if you really don't like using crits. Otherwise, crit rating, crit damage, reload, and damage is the perk set that I recommend. The last perk is where things get tricky. So you could use durability here for sure. You won't lose any damage that way if you like to have it, last longer. If you're placing your trap and getting to the end of the missions and finding out that your ceiling drop traps are breaking from durability loss, this is something that you should absolutely consider. And this final perk absolutely depends on who you are, what you're doing, what teammates you're running, what loadout you're running, and what's going on. Increased building health is perfectly fine. In my opinion, building health is really only good to survive like a big hit. So if it's a wall trap or a floor trap, that's when it can make sense to defend against smashers or exploding death bombs, propanes, situations where your walls are going to be taking a lot of hits. But if you're placing your tire trap 2 or 3 tiles up, you're really only getting hit from lobbers, which you can use anti-air traps, or flingers, where enemies will be landing on the underside of your base or on top, and they could be smacking it if they're trying to get in. That's when it can take a lot of damage, but it's never going to be one giant impact like it would be if it's getting hit by a smasher. So 17% increased building health can be fine if you're running like power-based knocks or a base build where it's healing over time like that. That can keep it alive long enough for the building health to matter. I personally prefer in a general trap with no specific plan in advance, heals attached. I think that's the best one overall. And in fact, I had a durability version of this trap right before I recorded this video, but when I went through all the perks, organizing my thoughts, getting prepared to record this video, I figured heals attached actually makes a lot of sense because you're only ever going to be hit with incremental damage. You know, lobbers and flingers don't hit that hard. It's usually an enemy whacking it over time or randomly. You know, an enemy hits the bottom and then bounces down. It doesn't matter for a while. Healing 4.8% every 10 seconds is honestly just a great little extra healing to keep the walls alive, because the odds that a teammate is going to run up top and heal the entire ceiling is not something you want to rely on. The odds are not high. I don't think that's going to happen very often. You might have great teammates. You might be on top of that. I don't really know, but in my lobbies, you don't want to rely on it. I'm not worrying about it. My teammates usually are forgetting. We're pretty chill, so I think heals attached makes the best sense in my opinion. Now let's talk about durability a little bit, as there are a couple of things you can do, and there is a major reason I am not running durability perks. First and foremost is survivor squads. I talked about it recently in my how to raise your power level video, link to that down below. That talks about, you know, how to raise your power level, but part of it are survivor squads. There are lots of different bonuses: trap damage, shield bonus, health bonus, lots of others, and I'm gonna give it to you straight. Most of these do not make a difference. If you've got a health bonus survivor squad, it will raise your health up an amount that will never matter. It'll increase your weapon damage by an amount that you'll never notice. It'll do so little that it is truly, and I mean this scientifically, negligible. Just to clarify how minimal of a difference it makes, the way that the percentage works from set bonuses is if you have a ranged offensive damage increase of 5%, it would change 5,678 to 5,683. That change is so minimal, you would never notice it, and that more specifically is what I mean. So functionally, the only set bonus that really makes a noticeable and impactful difference in game is trap durability. I have not the most. I don't know actually how to, can you see all stats? There we go. On the left-hand side here, I can see my full trap durability bonus in here, and it's 252%. So I don't even have this maxed out. I think the number actually gets higher than that. But if you are somebody who's maybe further in the end game, or you're conscious of trap durability, so you're favoring lower rarity survivors just to get your trap durability up, you can find yourself in a situation where your survivor squads alone are providing so much durability that you don't have to worry about perking that on your trap, which actually makes a lot of sense, because in my opinion, every durability perk that you're using is damage you're not getting or healing on your build that you're not getting. So that's just an important thing to avoid. If you can avoid durability and get away with it, you're good. Now, if you don't have a bunch of trap durability survivors, you can't focus on that yet, and you still don't want to give up damage, there is Machinist Harper. She's well known. She increases your trap durability globally. She does not need to be a part of your base. It doesn't need to be connected in that way. She just raises it for everybody, and it'll take whoever has the most in the lobby. So if you're playing with someone who has survivor squad set up for high trap durability, you'll be good. If someone has more than you, it'll use theirs. And if somebody's got Machinist Harper in the lead, I don't usually recommend that unless you're in endurance, it will make everybody's trap durability go up by 52.5%, which is a great bonus. So if anybody in the squad has her in support, everybody gets to benefit from it, and that can help you keep your traps alive. So that's it. That's the ceiling drop trap, or the tire trap as we usually call it. That's what it's good for, and those are the perks for it. Comment down below if you guys have any questions. I'm always happy to answer them. Subscribe if you're new. Use code Mista at your checkout if you guys buy anything in the shop. I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a good rest of your day. And then